Hello everyone. So I'm going to make a little video blog about Ashton Agar. Now, I saw him on his test debut. I was excited to have him play. I knew a bit about him, more apparently than the Australian selectors or the captain at the time. Back in, I think it was 98. Is that right? No, 2011 perhaps. Yes, 98's a bit too long ago. So 2011. Anyway, whenever it was, he was plucked from obscurity. He'd barely played any first class cricket, which is always risky because you don't know how good they are or what kind of players they are. And he got 98 on debut, batting at number 11. That's what a lot of people know of him. Young player, got 98 on debut, batting at number 11. But what has he done since then? He's barely played, is what he's done. Barely played for Australia and has proven himself not only nowhere near good enough to play test cricket as a bowler or a batsman, but he's really struggled at first class level as well, and he's become more of a ODI or perhaps even T20 specialist, and not all that good in those formats either. Well, I'm not saying he's terrible. I mean, compared to your average backyard cricket player, he's amazing, but compared to the standard that we expect of international cricketers, he's not quite there. At best he's a fringe player, but at worst he's not really there either. He's more there because he has that experience, and he's more kind of a buffer player for when we want to have somebody who has a bit of experience and we're too scared to blood somebody new. And that was really the case in this match as well. He came in, played his first test for I think it was 6 years, and we really should have played Aaron Hardy. And all the experts were saying Aaron Hardy. I said Aaron Hardy. And you look at the state of the match right now, and sure, it will probably be a draw no matter who was playing, but it'd be nice to have a proper bowler instead of Ashton Agar. Scott Boland would be at least threatening. Okay, Boland doesn't have the best SCG record, can I understand that, but Boland would at least be intimidating. He'd put pressure on the batsman. He'd give a proper relief for your other two good bowlers, your Hazelwood and your Cummins. His average alone is going to give him a bit of confidence and scare the opposition a fair bit, and that can generate wickets. We've seen that with Ferdinand Philander, who for a while had quite a good bowling average himself and probably wasn't really as good a bowler as his records suggest for a while. And I think that's the same situation for Boland. But while you have that record, it's going to generate wickets. There was no reason to consider Ashton Agar for this match. I think some people went, oh, we want to have a second spinner. He's our second best spinner. Well, is he our second best spinner? Is he really? I mean, the extra runs he might get compared to some other bowler, is it worth it? And if we're looking ahead to India, are we going to play two spinners? And this is the problem that a lot of people are missing, is that yes, India's pitchers tend to take spin. Yes, India tend to play 2, 3, even more spinners. They tend to play at least 2, sometimes 3 proper spinners, and then a few part-time all-rounder sort of players. And they tend to have often only one pace bowler in the team. Maybe they'll have a second player that'll bowl a bit of pace for 3 overs or something. But sometimes they'll even open the match with, or open the bowling with a spin bowler. Rarely with 2 spin bowlers, but you know, there were times when, back in the day, when Kapil Dev was the lone pace bowler, everybody else was spin. They had a 4-pronged spin attack for a while. So that's how pitchers in India tend to play. Now, they do vary a bit from pitch to pitch and how they decide to play them. But against Australia, they tend to try to make them rank turners because they know that number 1, Australia can't play spin, and number 2, Australia don't have spinners. So that's what they do. But, as the saying goes, if it spins, it seams. So if you get your seam bowlers in, they're going to be just as effective or close to as effective as a spin bowler on the same pitch. So your out and out pace bowlers will be a bit useless. So someone like a Lance Morris is not going to do well in India. Someone like a Mitchell Stark may or may not do very well, but your line and length bowlers, your seam bowlers, your Josh Hazlewoods, your Pat Cummins, your Scott Boland, going to do very well in India. Your Michael Neser, probably going to be pretty good. Now I would still pick Mitchell Stark because he is left armour and he might be good in some conditions. I don't think he'd play every match. But would I pick an Ashton Agar? I think the simple answer is no. And after we've seen what he's doing in Sydney, your complicated answer is very much no. And that's the thing. So you need bowlers that can bowl tirelessly for a long period of time. And you know, if you look at the history in India, Australian bowlers in India, your best Australian bowlers have been the pace bowlers. Now, I'll give it that excuse for Shane Warne that I gave at the time, and I clearly remember that Warnie was injured when he went to India. Every time he went to India, just as a coincidence, playing in India, so not playing when he played in Pakistan and UAE and Sri Lanka, he wasn't as injured. And when he played against those same teams in Australia, he wasn't as injured. But he was either suffering from an injury or recovering from injury. So he was never at his tip-top self. So that's why Warne didn't have quite the best record. Because Indians are good at playing against weak spin. Good spin bowlers take wickets. Jason Frazier, however much you want to make fun of him, he took 12 wickets in a match in India. Steve O'Keefe, another good bowler, took wickets. Stuart McGill took wickets. Nathan Lyon has a decent record in India. Even Glenn Maxwell's been okay. But Ashton Agar doesn't. He would be eaten alive. And this is the problem. If we took a Mitchell Swepson, I don't have a lot of confidence in him doing well there. Would Todd Murphy do well? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know anything about him other than that record he's got. So there might be, well look, there probably is merit to taking a Todd Murphy as backup for Nathan Lyon and see how he goes. But would I definitely play two spinners in the same match? Probably not. I'd probably go in with the same sort of lineup that we go in here, but I'd change who the pace bowlers are. So I probably wouldn't play any out and out pace bowlers unless we want to have, I mean, there could be merit for it if we had someone like a Lance Morris and just sort of had the other bowlers just sort of bowl lots of overs each, and then he just come in for little short, sharp bursts. It is possible that could work. The Indians don't tend to play as well against pace bowling, but seam bowling tends to do quite well. I don't know how good a bowler Lance Morris is either. I'd probably rather make Mitchell Stark for that role, but look, you know, Lance Morris could have a benefit. And I think that there is some merit to different tactics there, but going in with, like we have for the SCG test, with 4 bowlers, no all-rounder, or Ashton Agar being one of your 4 bowlers, he's not really a bowler. And then you have Travis Head, and you're trying to take 20 wickets in a day and a half, which is tough enough as it is. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing if Scott Boland and Aaron Hardy were bowling as the 4th and 5th bowlers and Ashton Agar wasn't playing. I'm not saying that we can guarantee we take all 20 wickets. But we'd be at least a decent chance, a better chance. And it's not really about whether or not you definitely win. It's more about, are you maximising your chances? And Ashton Agar was a very negative pick. It was a draw pick. As soon as he was picked, Australia were going for a draw. And I knew the weather forecast. I think most people did. You pick Ashton Agar because you're scared of a South African comeback to win. You're scared of South Africa winning. And I mean, that's the only merit to picking Ashton Agar in India, is that we're scared that we might otherwise lose 4-0. We might want to go for a draw, and we might want to have those extra overs bowled to make sure that we don't fall behind on the over rate and lose World Test Championship points and miss out that way. And if that's our merit, well, that's why we're picking him. I don't like that decision. We're picking him so that we can try to draw some matches instead of losing them. And if we're picking him so that we don't fall behind on the overs, look, I don't like that strategy, but then again, if it makes us get into the World Test Championship, then maybe that's a good option. But I don't like it. Anyway, that's it from me. Bye bye now.